And we're back. Welcome back to the podcast episode 85, of course. You can always watch the podcast at tuckeryoutube.com. That's watch the podcast at tuckeryoutube.com. It's not only an audio podcast, Max. It is a video podcast. On microphone number 2, my trusty sidekick, as always, is Senior Associate Advisor at Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc., Max Wren. Say hello, Max Wren.
Hello, Max Wren. Hey, folks.
And also at tuckeryoutube.com, we have the robot cameras. There's no control room here, Max.
It's all AI.
Yeah. So it's these voice-activated cameras. They switch them back and forth and to and fro, and most of the time they work. They probably work better than humans, you think?
I
don't know. Not really.
Yeah. I don't know. User error is pretty high, too.
That could happen. So podcast episode 85, here we are. And Max, we have a question from Jennifer. Jennifer lives in the South Loop. So we have a national and even international audience now at tuckeryoutube.com and on the audio podcast. Well, same podcast. This one has video, one doesn't. So in Chicago, we're on the northwest side of Chicago near Chicago O'Hare International Airport. We're inside the city limits of the city of Chicago. Park Ridge is across the street. Park Ridge is a suburb. But if you go downtown and you go just south of downtown, South Loop they call it. And so Jennifer lives in South Loop, and she asked, Max, should I pay off my mortgage before I retire, or should I keep the money invested? What do you think, Max?
That's a great question. We get asked this one quite a bit. It's funny because no matter what advice or counsel I give on this question, Scott, people always just do the same thing. They always do the
they still
same option.
do what they want. You mean?
Yeah, they always
do what they were going to do anyway.
Yeah, which is they always pay it off. They always pay off their house.
Always?
Almost always.
Well,
yeah.
we were just talking. I don't know. Matt and I were just talking to a client of ours some days ago, and she kept her mortgage.
Oh, that's good.
Well, so Max, I have the Wall Street Journal, and there was this isn't today's, but I just happened to save this for the next podcast. Wall Street Journal, they had an article just recently. And it said, paragraph 1 of this article, investors are piling into stocks at a feverish pace, but by one measure, stocks look as unattractive as they did after the dot-com bubble burst. So markets are near all-time highs, and the Wall Street Journal and others, and ourselves, we've been calling for a market correction or a bubble burst for quite a while now. And so, Max, when the market's high and somebody has a mortgage, what do they want to do?
Oh, usually, what do they normally do? What do we see? I got people taking home equity line of credits out so they can put it in the market. I mean, we got crazy stuff happening over here.
These are just people we talk to. These are not our model citizens. Okay, we talk to people. Not everybody. This is probably hard to believe. Not everybody we talk to becomes a client, Max.
Yeah,
it's like herding cats.
Scott said that because I say that all the time.
Oh, you do?
All the time.
Oh, I already used to. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like this, so everybody goes to the dentist. Max, do you think that everybody goes to the dentist, brushes their teeth 3 times a day, and flosses twice? They might flush twice.
3 is a little crazy.
three can be. I get sometimes I get a little coffee breath in the day at the office. I have the toothbrush at the ready, and I go brush my teeth with a little coffee breath. But so the dentist will say, like, brush after every meal and floss 2 or 3 times a day. And how many people do you think how many people can go to the dentist? And there's always somebody who's like, I haven't been in 10 years. I feel great. I go, okay, until all your teeth are rotten. But how many people go to the dentist and the dentist says, like, brush after every meal, or they might say the dentist might really prefer you brush after every meal and floss after every meal as well, like 3 times a day. How many people do that? Zero.
Brush and floss
3 times
maybe
a day.
1 out of 100.
1 out of 100, maybe.
1, maybe.
Yeah. So when people talk to us, when markets at our all-time highs, and they say, hey, Max, Scott, I know the market's high. This is exciting. AI boom. Instead of paying off my mortgage, I want to put all my money in NVIDIA.
Yeah, we see it.
And even you've talked to people recently, Max, where they've said that they want to take out a home equity line of credit and put it in the market.
Yeah, I've met with folks where they're saying, hey, we're interested in working with you to hit your investment minimum. We're thinking of taking a home equity line of credit out and putting it in the markets. Would that be okay?
No, that would not be okay.
That's what I said.
I
said, heck with that.
I'd rather waive the minimum and just whatever we can safely work with without putting. I don't want you risking your house to get to the minimum.
Talk about chasing heat, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you came to us with $50,000 saved for retirement, I'll give you some tips and we'll talk to you later when you get to a higher level.
Yeah.
I don't want you to have $50,000 saved for retirement and then go borrow $200,000 against your house so that I can have $250,000 to manage. That would be our absolute minimum. Absolute. I would say our most common client has between $1 and $3 million saved for retirement.
Yep.
But we're not going to have $1 million minimum. There are firms out there that do that. We're not going to have a $500,000 minimum. We're not going to have 250 is about it, because then we can't help you much. If you got to save more than, you got to get up to at least 250, and then we can, but then we want you to be a serious student. We don't need you eating saltine crackers for lunch and vitamins, but we need you as committed as we are. We need you to care about this as much as we do.
Yeah.
Now we have other clients, Max, that come to us with $5 million and more. But then they aren't super common. Compared to other advisors, they're pretty common with us, but there's only so many people that have saved over $5 million for retirement. That's a thing.
Yeah.
We are
millions pretty common.
Yeah. Well, even that though, for us, it's common. How many Americans have saved? I should chat GPT it.
That'd be a good one. How many of you boomers got a mill now? Let's hear it.
Well, okay. Because then we do with Gen X now too, because I'm 53, I'm Gen X.
Yeah.
So, that's a good question, Max. I would say the Gen X now, they go to 60.
61.
It's not 61 yet, is it? I think it's about 40 to 60.
1964?
I insist on round numbers, Max. I think
it's 64 or 63 is Gen.
Well, I would just make it my
of boomers.
I just make it my own numbers. So my mom just turned 79, but she was born in 47. So I would say I like those 20-year bands. Just simplify stuff on our heads, even if we're off by a year. It's okay. It's gonna be okay, Max. So if we say the boomers are roughly 60 to 80, the Gen X where I am are 40 to 60. I'm 53. And then the millennials would be like 20 to 40. But so anyway, we deal with kind of the older Gen X and then probably the younger boomers actually, because the older boomers are clients, but they've been clients for a while usually. So we're dealing with the upper end Gen X and the younger boomers. So yeah, so if I'd say between 55 and age 70 is where we start with folks. We have folks up over 100 now. We've been at this for a while.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes we'll get someone that's like 86 years old. They'll reach out to us with a question.
Max, what do you think I ought to do?
How do I do my tax planning? I'm like, I don't know. We should have started it like 30 years ago.
We can still help, but potentially help. Compliance says I have to say potentially every other word.
Yeah.
But
you're
yeah,
86. You've already overpaid.
Oh yeah,
taxes.
I know. But you still could do a lot potentially to minimize federal income taxes yet. And also, what a lot of folks don't think about is leaving unpaid federal income taxes to their kids and grandkids. Or if you live in Illinois, if you're Illinois, the Illinois estate tax that starts on estates of $4 million or more than $4 million, I should say. There are some ways still to deal with that. Now, but you can't wait. We had a nice lady. She's passed now. She became a client at 93, and she, hate saying it, but she waited until she had 1 month left to live. Then wanted to do her estate tax planning.
Well,
there's a 3-year look back on that. Both federal and state in Illinois, the federal and state, there's a 3-year look back on that.
Right. So her previous advisor, her strategy for the Illinois state tax, which again is $4 million, their advisor's strategy was just to keep her in cash. So her account wouldn't grow at all over the $4 million.
Which is crazy because
just kept her in cash for like a decade or something. It was like 8 years.
He's like, well, the solution, the obvious solution is we just won't make any money.
Oh my! It was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
You could lose your license for that.
That's negligence. That's pure negligence.
And then on top of that, her house would appreciate totally out of her control. But his idea was, and he was an Indiana advisor, so at least he was aware there was an Illinois state tax, which that's remarkable there. But yeah, his solution was we just won't grow your money and then you won't hit the Illinois estate tax.
Yeah.
Well, now the Illinois estate tax on her estate if she went like $1 over, it would be about $285,000 would be Illinois state tax.
Just 285.
But yeah, I know. But there are ways to use irrevocable trust to not pay anything to Illinois. He didn't do that either. But even if he just didn't do the irrevocable trust maneuver, what if he just grew the money like crazy?
Right.
And what if he grew it from 3.9 million to 5.9 million?
Right.
Well, now you have the 400 grand that goes to Illinois, but you made her a whole bunch of money. You made her like $2 million more money for her kids and grandkids, in her case, for her 5 kids.
The things we see, Scott.
I know it's frustrating, and she didn't. What is irritating? She wasn't stupid, and her kids weren't stupid.
Right.
The advisor out of Indiana just like, nah, too much trouble. That's what he's doing.
Oh, that's totally what they're doing.
Don't want to think too hard.
Yeah, people just want to collect their management fee or collect their fee they're collecting from that mutual fund.
Do you ever hear that phrase? My mom says stuff like this sometimes. My mom voted for Bernie, and she's not a loafer. She's retired now, but she's not a loafer. But do you ever hear that saying? Sometimes we hear stupid sayings and then we repeat them. My mom would say stuff like, I'm like, oh, I got to go, Mom. I'm on my way to work. Got a busy day today. She'd say like, okay, well, don't work too hard. I go, what kind of communism is that? What kind of dang socialist are you, Mom?
Just described every financial advisor out there pretty much.
Don't work too hard.
No, it's funny because one of my friends, he's a VP at a really big firm. I guarantee you know the name. And when you talk to him about financial planning or estate planning or tax planning, he doesn't know a single thing.
That's insane.
Doesn't know the difference between like a variable annuity and a fixed index annuity. Doesn't know preferred dividends exist. Doesn't know about estate law. And he's a VP at his branch. So he's like the main investment guy.
Wow.
Doesn't know any of this.
Because that company, all they want you to do is
buy their ETFs, buy their mutual funds.
Well, they want you to take your 401k and keep it with them in an IRA, and then they want you to use their mutual funds and their exchange traded funds, and then they want you to use, this is kind of crazy, they want you to use that advisor at that company to buy a variable annuity, which people usually hear annuity and they think, oh, safety from market risk. A variable annuity has market risk on it, and it usually has giant fees on it.
Giant fees, like 4 to 5% or 6% even.
Per year.
Not
just once. It's worse than a Class A mutual fund. I think it was on this episode, or did we talk about it last week? A Class A mutual fund, we were talking about recently, where it had a 5 3/4% upfront commission to a stockbroker, which we're not stockbrokers. And that's one of the reasons why we're not stockbrokers. And then a 1% expense ratio. Well, a variable annuity is worse. And of all the kinds of annuities you could have, the variable annuity, in my opinion, is the worst because it has stock market risk. And then you pay the worst ones I've seen 2 of them like this, 4.6% per year. And in each case, the people told me, no, I'm paying 1% per year. And their statement looked like they paid 1% per year. But I know better. So I know there's a prospectus. It's 100-page thick from 10 years ago that nobody read. So we call 1-800 variable annuity company. We don't call the person that sold them the variable annuity. We call 1-800 variable annuity company. And I don't even need the contract number. I just need the person sitting with me either on speakerphone or on a 3-way call. And they tell the 1-800 variable annuity company rep, they tell them, this is my name, this is my address, here's my social, my date of birth. They pull up the policy number. And then Max or myself or Matt or Saida, we have a little checklist we go through. And the first question, the client is looking at me like I'm crazy. I go, oh yeah. So I asked the rep, I go, so what's the mortality and expense charge? And the client goes, what? They look at me like I'm nuts. Like, where'd you pull that out of your back office? And I'm like, no, that's one of the charges. And then, what's the death benefit rider fee? What's the income rider fee? What's the admin fee? What's the underlying cost of funds fee? And these people at these 1-800 variable annuity call centers, they try to double talk you. They try to BS you because their immediate answer is, oh, the fees are 1%. Okay, what's the M&E fee? 1.6%. What's the death benefit rider fee? 0.25%. What's the admin fee? $15 per year. What's the cost of underlying mutual funds? Well, they're all different. Okay, if you were to average them out, what are they, about 1%? Yeah, they're about 1%. Yep. They give you all these fees, and I'm probably forgetting one because I don't have the little checklist in front of me. But I've had it twice, Max, where both times the client said, nope, they charge me 1% a year. And you call the 1-800 number, and they say it's 1% a year. And then when you get out the little worksheet and you start filling it all out, say, let's see, Susie, thank you for giving us these facts and figures. As I'm adding this up, and I got my calculator, I am getting a total of 4.6% per year. Does that sound right to you? That's right, sir. And the client sitting next to you, it's like, oh my goodness, 4.6% per year. It's a wonder you make any money.
So I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but I was sitting down with a couple about 3 years ago, and they had a variable annuity they bought in the year 2000, and they bought it from their friend from church.
Oh boy.
Yep. And heads up, guys, financial people love going to church, and they love getting clients there.
Hey,
so
Max, do you know Zig Ziglar once said, "Some people are not themselves on Sunday."
Yeah.
You think about that, Max? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great. There's a lot of predators out there. But
do you know how many people get struck by lightning on the way home from church, Max?
So, anyways, I said,
some are in sheep's clothing and some are not sheep. So that's what sheep's.
Yep.
So
sitting down with this couple 3 years ago, they got a variable annuity from their friend from church. They put $100,000 into it. Again, this is year 2000. I want you guys to think how well the stock market's done since then. It's 10x, if probably 15x since then.
Max, Matt and I just looked. We just sat with a client the other day. Since 2009, the stock market is 11 times higher than where it was in 2009. So imagine
2000, yeah, a lot higher.
Yeah.
Anyways, they had $100,000 in that thing they bought in 2000. In 2023, it was worth about $110,000. Now, what Scott just talked about, the fees, we went ahead, called up their office, got all the fees. They were paying about 4.5, 4.6, just like Scott kind of went over to. And I was talking with the lady, the service person we got on the phone. And I was like, okay, is it fair to say they've paid about these fees every single year? And they go, yes. I'm like, okay, of those fees, is there any of that going back to the advisor who got it, like a trailing commission? She's like, yeah, it's like 1% or so. So knowing that and knowing how long they kept that variable annuity, their friend from church made maybe like $10,000 or $15,000 more by selling them that product than they themselves made it sitting in it for 23 years. So that's why variable annuities are terrible. You make nothing on it. The person who sells you that, though, makes a lot of money. So
well, let's make it real round numbers. Let's say that they got a variable annuity for $100,000 20 years ago. Let's say they paid 5%. This gives you real square numbers. $100,000 20 years ago, paid 5% per year for 20 years. So they put in $100,000. They paid $100,000 in fees. Just to be able to break even, that they would have to grow their money 5% a year, and maybe they grew it a little bit bigger than that. But even when they grow it, say if they grow it 7%, then the fees just are bigger in dollars.
Yeah,
so
true.
Or say they make 10% a year, well then the bigger the account keeps getting, the bigger the fees are getting too. But you've got if you got 5% annual fees, you got to get 5% just to keep up with the fees.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about it, Scott, but they paid more in fees to hold that investment than they put into it originally. Isn't that funny?
Well, it's not funny, but yes.
Well, I guess it's funny because they decided to stay with their friend from church because they still trust them. That's the funny part.
They still trust them.
He's their friend from church. They've known him for over 20 years. So it's...
I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, we can lead people to water. We can't make you drink it, especially when you've learned that person you thought was your friend for 20 plus years from church too actually turned out to be somebody else. Mentally, it can be hard to accept that. It kind of is easier just to ignore it maybe. So,
well, what's crazy, a lot of things are crazy. The variable annuity doesn't give you protection for market crashes, and it's not free from fees. The fees are worse than if you just want to have market risk. And if you want to pay almost no fees, you can just go buy an ETF, an exchange traded fund. Case closed.
Yep.
You would just have the same market risk, and you would save maybe 4% a year in variable annuity fees.
Yeah.
Just be done with it.
I don't understand it.
If you wanted to be safe from market risk, then you would use maybe some sort of a fixed annuity or fixed index annuity, and those are available with no fees.
Right.
So it's either to me it's either exchange traded fund or something like that in the stock world or stock or bond world. And if you want the ultimate safety, type thing, then it's some sort of a fixed or fixed index annuity.
You're not selling A shares with 5%
No,
upfront loads
that's horrible.
and variable annuities?
I'm not a stockbroker, Max. Goodness
Come on,
grief.
my investment advisor, though. They put me in this. And they're my friends.
that's the thing, too. So there is a big outfit out of, we'll say, the Midwest, and some would say the gateway to the West. And they are in the strip malls with the green awnings. And what they're doing that I don't care for is they're creating confusion where their advisors are licensed both as stockbrokers and as investment advisor reps. So stockbrokers do not have a fiduciary duty to do what's best for you, and the investment advisor representative does. And they're wearing those two hats in the world of securities. Of course, I said, I think last week on the podcast, all my words kind of run together in my head. Imagine that. I think it was last week on the podcast, I said that we are also insurance licensed. So anything insurance has commissions. But anything we would do in the world of insurance, we would give up advisory fees if the two should intersect. What I really don't like is in the world of securities when the advisor is both a stockbroker and an investment advisor rep, because one's saying, I'm a stockbroker and I get a commission for buying and selling securities. The other one says, and all in the same person, which is crazy, I have to do what's best for you. So over here, I manage securities and I don't get a commission. It's confusing enough when you try to separate it and make it simple. So, wow, there's a lot there. So Jennifer from the South Loop, downtown Chicago. Should I pay off my mortgage before I retire or keep the money invested? I say, Jennifer, I don't know when you're retiring. And so Jennifer could be 50 thinking she's going to retire in 10 years, 15 years. In that case, let's say that Jennifer had a 30-year mortgage. I would put her on a glide path, probably, Max, to say, okay, you're going to be retired in 10 years. And so let's figure out if we pay additional principal payments, even if the interest rates are low, if you want to be retired when you're 60, let's have the mortgage balance paid off when you're 60. Let's not stretch it out 30 years. Let's also not just go whack it and pay it all off if you have the money. But I do not want to keep from paying off the mortgage just so I can have the money invested. I know that sounds great, but Max, does the stock market always go up?
No.
So Dave Ramsey has a thing he says. I do listen to his podcast sometimes. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's great at the get out of debt, stay out of debt, don't borrow money. He's great at all that. But when somebody calls him up and says, Dave, I've been making 20% a year in the stock market and my mortgage is 3%. I don't want to pay off my mortgage. I want to stay in the stock market. And he says, listen, stock market doesn't always go up. And so a way he says to think about it that I like, he'll say, well, Max, if for your plan to work, making 20% in the stock market, 3% mortgage, if for your plan to work, everything has to go right, then it's a bad plan, right? So if everything has to go the way you say it's going to go, how often do your plans turn out the way you think?
Yeah.
They're always off.
Yeah. That's why we talk with people and they'll be like, oh, my advisor ran a Monte Carlo simulation. I got a 90% chance of making it to the finish line. And what do you always say, Scott, to that?
Max, if you went to O'Hare and you're flying to Vegas this afternoon, the plane says the Monte Carlo analysis says you have a 90% chance of making it safely to your destination. Are you getting on the plane?
Heck no.
No. But Max, I got a parachute for you. I'm like, no.
Right.
Last time I checked, American Airlines parachutes. I would probably not a happy thought. I would probably be the guy that would jump out of the front door and go right in the motor. Who's eating breakfast?
Ian some Scott.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to skydive out of a 737 or 777 or
that'd be fun.
787 Dreamliner set hut. Yeah. So we're big fans in not getting cocky when the markets are high. Don't think about not paying off your mortgage just because the rates are low. You're gonna come. I think we all know this. Jennifer in South Loop, you're asking this because you already know this. Jennifer South Loop, you're probably in a condo, not a single family, okay, just because of what we know of the South Loop, mostly condos. You're going to come to where you want your condo paid off. You're already going to have your hands full with condo assessments and Cook County property taxes. Ask me how I know. So you don't need the additional burden of a principal and interest payment on a mortgage. you don't need the additional burden of a threat of foreclosure. You've got your hands full with a special assessment because they got to put a new roof on the building. You've got your hands full with Cook County trying to figure out how to pay the pensions, and the property taxes are going up. You have enough to worry about. Let's not borrow trouble. That's a good redneck phrase, isn't it? I grew up in Michigan. Max, when I was growing up, we used to like hunt squirrels and stuff.
Nice. We did in Dayton, Ohio, too.
Dayton, Ohio. Max grew up in Centerville, Ohio, and I grew up in DeWitt, Michigan, home of the DeWittians. And in both locations, we grew up hunting squirrels. And we both had coonskin caps.
We did,
we didn't even know each other back then.
I still got mine.
I was in the Cub Scouts. Max was in the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, leveled up.
He took it further than I did.
Never did Cub Scouts, though.
It was fun. I got the merit badges going. And I got busy with hockey or something, and then I couldn't do it anymore. But yeah, well, this concludes another 25-minute podcast full of nonsense. We could just keep it straight and just talk about the financial stuff, but that we do that all the time. It gets a little boring. I mean, who doesn't want to hear about a couple of kids that used to hunt squirrels in coonskin caps? I mean, that's a story.
That's the good stuff.
That's the story. So we'll talk to you on the next episode. What you should do though, before you go, like and subscribe, share it with a friend. But down below in the description, it says tuckerretirement.com, or you can just type in tuckerretirement.com right now. On your phone, on your iPad, on your computer at tuckerretirement.com. You can do it on your phone right now. Get on our phone calendar, 15 minutes for free in the coming week with our financial planners, which your financial planning questions answered and the answers questioned. We are federally licensed. We can help U.S. citizens and green card holders all throughout the United States and its territory. So it's tuckerretirement.com, and we'll see you next week on the podcast.